All right, so Elyssa, you want to go first? Just kind of talk about.
So I'm a pastry chef. I don't really cook. I only bake or do pastry. And I was an elementary school teacher first. After I went to college, got my degree to be a teacher, and then I moved to New York. And I didn't have any connections to get a teaching job in New York. And so I was doing random jobs to pay the rent, and I started baking to relax. It was like my free time, and was doing it more and more. And then a friend suggested, why don't you go to cooking school? And it had never occurred to me, and so I was like, okay, not a bad idea. And I checked into it, and so I was like, I'm going to the best cooking school because I want to, I don't want anyone to tell me I don't have the right connections to get a job. So in New York at the time, there was the French Culinary Institute in the city. Because there is, I recommend if you guys are going to go straight from high school into cooking to look into like the CIA, because you get a college degree.
What is the CIA?
They have a few campuses now, and there's a couple. I think is it Johnston Wales has a good cooking program.
Okay.
So there are a couple universities that have cooking schools. But so that way you either get a BA or a BS, and if you decide not to continue cooking, you have a college degree, which I think is very important.
Okay.
Because a good percentage of people that go to cooking school do not continue on cooking. Because it is very physically demanding, and you stand all day and it's exhausting, but if you love it, and it's the best thing ever. Which for us, that's what it is. But so I went to the French Culinary Institute in New York for pastry, and got a job right out of school, or I did an internship during cooking school, and then at my first job, the pastry chef that I worked with introduced me to Yves. And that's how we met.
Et voilà.
Cool.
But,
And once you live in New York, also you open some bakery.
yeah, I worked in a few different bakeries in New York, sort of high-end bakeries, and then we decided to move back to California, where I grew up out here. And I did wedding cakes for a while, and then I was working at Andre's, and now I'm gonna do baking out of the house because it's legal now.
So short story, my name is Yves. I'm from New York. No, I'm from Paris, from France, and is where I grew up. Until 36 years old, I left to travel and use my talent. No, what I like to do is to cooking. So, 14 years old, part of my life, I need to decide if I go to academic or to learn to do something, and I learned to be a chef. So I take 3 years of school in Paris, but after 3 years, a chef, you just have a diploma, and it helps you to understand what it's about cooking. But on the top of this, I used to go every day to the school. And after the school, I used to work any restaurant, hotel, any place in Paris to learn ways to be in the kitchen. And after this, few years after, when I was 20 years old, I take my job to be a chef. A real chef, you're a boss. And you take the challenge to do this and every day. So with the time it became a passion, because you give a lot. You give your life, you give your day, you give a lot. It makes a passion. You need to love to do this. And it's what's happened for me when I was 14 to now. I do this every day, I love to do this. So my career moved to Paris, different area in Paris, and I moved to London. London bring me somewhere else in England. I see it was not enough excited, too close to my country. I said, let's go travel the world. And I came in New York, and New York bring me to different French restaurants, to one of the top restaurants in New York also. And we moved back to Orange County, where I work for a different hotel. And I opened Andre's 5 years ago. It was a brand new concept in Orange County. It was a parking lot on First. And we created this beautiful restaurant. And we was one of the first to create about local, use the local produce, the local farmer. Like you go every Saturday week time in a local market and bring all these farmers to a restaurant. Make sure people understand ways to eat seasonal, fresh food. All natural is what we do at Andre's, and it's working very well. And we go be at the 5th anniversary in July. And like Elyssa said, we have 2 kids grow up between baking, cooking, have a small apron is fantastic, you know, and we love what we do.
Did you cook a lot growing up in your house in France? Is that part of the
You
lifestyle?
know, in Europe, it's very everybody cook in Europe. You know, I don't know if a new generation is maybe different, but yeah, when I was kid, grandma, everybody cook in a family. You know, depend where you go, but different cooking, different way, but everybody cook. So I've always this influence in my house, like my kid have this also to have the taste, the smell. When you wake up in the morning, you have this brioche, things like this. Yes, we have.
So both of you guys went to culinary school, and I've been talking to other chefs, and like they all say it's kind of a waste of time. Like you learn so much more working in a restaurant. So would you guys support that idea?
I don't support. You know, I came in Paris. I was in culinary school, and I see culinary school in the United States. I see everywhere. I think culinary school will give you some help at the beginning to know if it's
The basics.
not the basic, but give you an idea is what you want to do. And to go faster, you need to work in any restaurant, any hotel to see. So you go be very inside the business, inside your job, so you can see the practice, what you need to learn in the school, and if you work also to be internship. I have a lot of people, students in my restaurant, and learn to cut the basic things, to see if they like to do this. So both sides are good.
I don't think you don't have to go to school to be a chef. You can either, you know, if your family cooks a lot and you learn a lot at home, you can definitely do internships. And I think even when you go to school, a lot of the schools require internships as part of your degree, but even if they don't, I think it's something you should do along while you're going to school. Cooking school is very expensive compared to regular college, but it's usually much shorter. But if you can afford it, it was the best. I absolutely loved it. You know, but I definitely think that the jobs that you take after school, or even if you don't go to school, that's going to make what kind of chef you are. Like, I got very lucky outside of school. The pastry chef that I was working with, I learned so many amazing things from him. It just depends where you work. You know, so as long as the school has, you know, you can go. I'm sure most of the schools, there's a few local ones that you can go check them out, and you know, go spend a day, spend a few hours. A lot of restaurants,
Yeah.
like I had a girl come spend, she was 14 I think, spent a day with me cooking to see, like she's thinking she wants to be a pastry chef. So she came for a day. We have a friend from high school, one of my friends, she's an optometrist, total different career, but she loves to cook. I think she worked with us for 6 months, a couple days a week, just for fun, you know, for free. But I mean, she had the time and was willing to do it, and she loved it. And, you know, all the things she was learning, she was going home and making for her family. So, I mean, if you have the time to volunteer, probably any restaurant. I think you have to be 15 to get a work permit.
Yes.
If you go to a restaurant that you like and you ask the chef, I'd like to volunteer 1 day a week, my Saturday mornings, or whatever it is that you can offer, they would take your free labor. Most chefs would. So I'm sure you have to sign a waiver that, you know, you're willing to take the risk of working in a kitchen and whatever, but, you know, it gives you a chance to really see if you have an interest. Because it is, I mean, typically you work, normal cooks work, I don't know, 6 to 8 hour shift, depending on a lot of them work 2 jobs. Because starting out, the pay is not great, but if you do it long enough, the pay, you know, it takes some time, but you get there. But Yves works 12-hour days. I mean, you know, they've gotten a little stricter with, you know, the hourly people these days, but, you know, restaurants used to take advantage of a lot of people. But, I mean, Yves works very long hours, and it's very hard on your legs and whatever, but if you like it, you enjoy it.
And the thing also is good on this to be chef is at the beginning you choose what you want to do, pastry, chef, do chocolate, or be a restaurateur. I mean, you work in a restaurant, in a hotel business, you have so many ways you can extend what you like to do to be on the same. So you can be a server, you can be front of the house, manager, you can come back to be a chef to understand how the restaurant or the hotel business work. Because to be a chef, you can be chef in a restaurant, in a hotel, in a cruise. There's so many ways you can work everywhere in the world. But I see so many times, you know, 10 people start to work in the kitchen, go work in the front of the house, to be a manager. It can change I don't say a job, may change not to be a chef, but to be in front of the house.
Switch to like food and
Yeah,
beverage and
yeah. So you have too many options for you, you know, when you find what you want to do. But it's fantastic. I don't say job because it's not a job. It's fantastic. Things to do is to
I love it. You
work
can
in
do it
the
all day long.
yeah.
I mean, before I had kids, like when in New York, I worked
Yeah.
typically a 10-hour day from like 6 in the morning till 4, and I would come home and still bake. So I mean, it's like I love it. So you know, I wish I could do it more, but I have to.
And you make
The whole other thing.
and you make people around you happy. You know, you see somebody. I mean, you give a service. You know, in the front of the house, you make a service. You baking something. You cooking something. You make people happy. You know, it's part of our life to make
Yeah,
people
you get
happy.
to see the rewards of what you do, I guess.
Yes, yes.
Which is kind of nice because not every job you don't get to see it always.
Yeah.
I have another question, like specifically for you. I know there's a lot of sexism in kitchens.
A lot of what?
Sexism, like against women.
I mean, I haven't had too many problems. But then I'm pastry, and pastry is a little
Yeah.
different. I mean, like the pastry chef that I worked with at my first shop was a man, but he was French. And in France, it's so different. Like here, most people think of pastry chefs and you think of women. But in France, like pastry chefs typically are men. I mean, or just chefs in general. I mean, I think it's changing, you know, nowadays more. But I mean, there are a few women chefs that are way up there. But if you watch like Top Chef, you have to be pretty tough to survive. You know, you have to be strong because.
I don't think it's sexy. I think it's,
Maybe it depends where you work, and if you're in a bad environment, then leave it and find one that's better. I mean, in any job. I mean, I think if you're not being treated well, then
yeah, I think I have
find another location.
5 girls working with me in the kitchen.
Yeah,
so it's
you
a lot.
always hire the girls. I don't know.
No, yeah. No, because I think each one brings something, you know, each one of the
There are
girls,
chefs that don't.
they bring different tastes, they bring different... It depends, but I don't think it's, no, I don't think it's too sexy. I think if you have a great chef, a woman, great chef, a man, you know, so it's a mix in Orange County, California, you go in San Francisco, you have some fantastic 3-star Michelin women, you know, so maybe a long time ago, no, I think
It's changing. It's getting
this
better.
generation changed, yes.
So, what is your specialties?
I
Both
grew
of you,
up,
what's it?
I grew up in France, so I was back from French culinary. Specialty, no, I don't think, like right now, every time I open a restaurant, I try to bring something different. And this one is about local, farmer to table. But one dish I can take out from the menu right now is octopus. For why? Because people don't go in a restaurant to eat octopus. And when you see this, you say, no, try. And people love this. Of course, we have a short rib, we have a cheeseburger, you know. But octopus is braised, and we braise it slowly in the oven. Then after we saute with some farm potato, fingerling, some chorizo, and with a light vinaigrette, and people love this. And served warm, so people say calamari octopus is very shrinky, this one is very soft. So it became one of my specialties at this restaurant. Yeah.
Everyone likes my banana chocolate chip muffins.
Yes.
But I don't know, I make a variety of things. So, from fancy to the casuals. And
So what are you doing now? You're selling desserts from home?
I just sent in my paperwork last week because you have to like apply, or not apply, but I guess become official of the city. Like they are going to come check my kitchen because there's 2 different licenses you can have for baking out of your house or cooking out of your house. You can just sell to friends and neighbors, say, or if I'm going to do resale, so like Gary's in Corona Del Mar is going to sell my cookies again. Because I did it years ago, but it wasn't legal and we got caught. So we're going to do it the right way now. So as soon as my paperwork comes in and start selling cookies and brownies and lemon bars and scones and banana muffins possibly. So,
So is that mean
and
on
then
the
like
way?
you could call me and order whatever you want.
Is that mean maybe on the way to open her
Yeah,
bakery,
hopefully it'll
you
get
know?
me enough business that then we can get a bakery going.
Yeah.
Are there specific things that you look for when hiring new chefs? This experience or?
I don't know. I don't think so about experience. I think it's the few minutes we go sit down and I go see how interested you are. I can say I have a lot of people never cook eggs in their life. I still take people in my kitchen. I want to see the star somewhere to see we can do something together. And it's what I'm looking at the beginning. I'm not looking if you have any talent to things like this. I'm going to see this after. I want to see what you go have to give to me, to give to you. You know what I mean? A little bit of passion I can grab from you.
How much of your time do you get to work on creating a new dish? Is that important to be always creating
Yes,
new meals?
yes. You have like right now. It's funny. Right now we close the menu for spring and summer menu, so we don't have a new dish.
Oh yeah, okay.
And it's not only cooking, it's the way we can prepare before each station, the way it's going to be set up on the plate, the cooking time and everything. So it takes about 1 month for us in a restaurant to create and to start the menu. And what we do, every time we have a menu, we go take some of the popular dish, like, take a picture, and we go do this for 1 week before. So we go see how the people react.
Okay.
Like I have a new flatbread, it will be asparagus and pancetta. New flatbread, and we go use a new organic flour from California. So I want to see how the people react. So we go have this Adam for 1 week. And to see
And are those regular customers that you're
It's a
testing?
regular customer, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like it's a special.
Especially we do like a
Okay.
survey what you think about this.
Okay.
And if we're very happy, we put this on the menu. If not, we leave on the side, we correct it. So yeah, menu is very bad. It takes a long time. And some dish work very well right away. Some take time. It's always, the palate and on the guest, and also the way it was executed in the kitchen. And the challenge we have is of the season. Like coming in spring, summer, I would like to do peach and nectarine right now, but the season in California, I know will start before to be ripe in July. So we maintain our spring, Adam, and we do a transition with the summer. So many things happen, before you create a dish and put on your plate. Yeah.
So, I was going to ask you about the wedding cake. So what was the brides like working with?
Not too bad. I mean, people come in with their ideas of what they want, and we made. I worked with another woman. We did really nice cakes, and the flavors were really good. And a fairly simple design, but nice. Because there are some very intricate cake designers out there that do over-the-top stuff that I don't do and don't want to do. But to me, flavor was most important. So, I can make it simple and elegant, but I want it to taste,
That would be challenging.
Yeah, like if you came in and said I want, a cake that looks like my dress, I'd send it to somebody else. I can't do that.
What are just some basic skills that you would really recommend learning that make you a better cook or a chef, or just make your food better?
It's practice for sure.
Practice,
and then,
yeah.
Knife skills. Even me, I've been doing this for about 15 years now, and Eve, if you put a bunch of apples in front of us, I'm still slicing it, and he comes, 2 seconds, he's done. The top chef, I want him to apply, because he could win. Where me, I can't do. I wouldn't want to go on Top Chef Pastry. It's too, all the chocolate sculptures and design. I had to do it in school, but I'm much more simple.
But I think you have a practice. If you like to bake, practice, take the recipe. You have a fantastic cookbook. You follow somebody, practice.